I was sitting here thinking about all of these videos that I've watched regarding a race war. And you have white people making videos about race war, saying that black Americans won't have a chance. And then you have black people making videos saying that black people don't have a chance. Or you have some that's declaring a race war on white people. But yet there's a group that have declared a race war even on black people. But what I find quite interesting is that when you look back in biblical history, when you look at the Bible and you look at Esau that came out of the womb red and hairy, Esau was a mighty hunter. That was his talent. That was his birthright gift as a hunter. And if you notice, you see most white men are great at hunting. That's where you get your meats from, your beef, your pork, your chicken. All of your meats you get from the white man, black people. So he's skilled in hunting. He's also extremely skilled on the battlefield. And when I speak of the white man, I'm not talking about the everyday average white person that you see. Although somewhere in their DNA, they have that talent, that ability to hunt. And if anyone should know about Esau being a great hunter, should be the so-called black Americans. Because at one time you were the prey. You were hunted and you were taken into captivity. And even to this very day, black people, many black people are being hunted and have been hunted. But you talk about a race war, you declare a race war with white people. Now, I'm not saying that black people are not able to defend themselves, but black people have a lot that's going against them. And the number one enemy to black people are black people. It's not the white man. It's not those that have taken your ancestors into captivity. It's black people that are your greatest enemy. Black people are so divided in so many different groups that say if there was a race war, you're defeated even before the war begins. And we see that every day. We see the results of that every day. Just look at Michigan with the water problem. They don't even talk about the water problem that was in Michigan. But yet you have black people that's crying out to the ones that say that's oppressing them for help. No one is there to help them if blacks don't help themselves. But how can black people help themselves when they have nothing to help themselves with, because everything that they have is given to them by the white man? If you're not working and earning your keep, if you're not working and supporting your family, you're being supported by the same person that you refer to as a white racist, as your enemy, as your oppressor. But the purpose of this video is because I was thinking about how if you read the stories in the Bible, when it talks about Esau and Jacob, Esau was a great hunter. He knew how to fight wars and defend himself. Jacob, aka Israel, their battles were fought by the Lord. It was the Most High that fought the battles of Israel. And whenever Israel disobeyed the Most High allowed their enemies to overtake them. So you cannot win a battle with Esau unless you have your weapon, which is not carnal, but that's mighty through the Most High for the pulling down of stronghold. If you don't have the Most High on your side, you're a defeated foe. But what's interesting is the fact that Israel, the Most High fought the battles for Israel. Esau fought his battles. He had his army. And he defeated nations. Whereas they were no competition with Israel as long as the Most High was backing them. And I recall Israel was able to defeat their enemies with only a few men because the Lord was on their side. But we're living in times today where many black people have turned their backs on the Most High. We can see that on YouTube with the number of videos that's made that's cursing the Most High, that's cursing the Bible, that's cursing Yeshua or Jesus, that's cursing the pastors, that's cursing the church, that's cursing each other. And they would tell you quick that they don't believe in a spook God, but yet you have no one or no power to defeat your enemies. Now, I'm just going to give you a few examples of where Esau got you right where he wants you, where you have no power. You gave up your strength when you turned your back on the Most High. You gave up your power when you became an atheist or an agnostic or whatever you prefer to call yourselves. And you've decided to follow Satanism. But let me share a few. And even when it comes to Satan or Lucifer, he is also a mighty warrior. And I know that there's people out there that may not understand what I'm saying. And of course, you're going to disagree because you don't have that understanding. But it takes a mighty warrior to be able to control a world that we're living in now. We're living under a satanic system here. So we have to know how to survive living in a satanic system, but yet not breaking the laws of the Most High, not turning our backs on the Most High, not cursing God to his face. Like Job's wife told him, curse your God and die. So we're behind enemy lines. So don't underestimate the power of Satan because he is a mighty warrior. Now, let me show you where you are at a disadvantage when you declare war with your enemies and even you yourselves are divided within yourselves. Let's take little things, for example, which is a great thing. Water. If Esau shuts off your water supply, where would you get your water from, especially on extremely hot days? And of course, you can go to the lakes and the rivers, but they're polluted. Unless you have skills from the military that taught you how to sterilize your water, you won't know how to do that. Because when you turn on that faucet, if Esau wanted to get you, you talk about a race war, but if he wanted to get you, he can poison you through your water. And we see a clear example of that in Michigan. Second of all, food. You get your food from Esau. He's a mighty hunter. So he was the one that went out and hunted for your food. Black men are on the block, selling drugs, gangbanging. Not all, but a great number of us, or locked behind Esau's prison and jail walls. So you know that you are defeated when you're locked up behind Esau's jails and their prison system. But yet you still cry white supremacist and racism. But if he tells you to jump, you ask how high. He tells you when you can go to the bathroom, when to go to sleep, when to eat, and when to get up. But you think you have power. So, food. He can poison your food. You don't know what. When you open a bottle of, like, say, Lipton sweet tea, you don't know what's in that bottle. You trust it because it's sealed. But you don't know what was done to it before you opened it. Or a box of rice. So when you start, think about what you're doing and what you're saying when you declare a race war. Another thing, medical supplies. Now, if we know just from Chicago, I just got done reading an article in Chicago where it says that 41 people were killed within the matter of a few hours. Or within the matter of a day, 41 people were shot. Black on black violence. So who did you think they had to go to for help? Who did they look to save their lives? And a lot of the people, a lot of the medical staff could be Trump supporters. Could be Republicans. But to you at that particular time, they have become God because you were crying out to them and depended upon them to save your life. And then guess who embalms you and allows you to go into the ground? That same white supremacist. Medical staff. You're the one that have to run to the white man for him to bandage and stiff you up and try to save your life when another black person shoots you. But yet you call people like myself racial names, ammunition. So you may say, well, we have guns, we have ammo. Well, where did you get that from? You wouldn't have that if the white man didn't give it to you or if you stole it. And even if you steal weaponry, guns or what have you, you don't have any ammunition to put inside. I know quite a few white people that are stocking, they have a stockpile of ammunition and firearms. There's a YouTuber, Hickok 27 or something like that, 47. Go on Hickok page and look at all the firearms that he have on there that he be testing and shooting. They have ranges in their backyard. They have land. Not too many black people have land, but they have land that they shoot on. They have ranges set up on their land that they practice. If you join a gun club, guess who gun club you're joining? Or range, right? If a lot of y'all I know you go to the junkyard, but who owns that junkyard? So you're not in the right position to declare a race war on someone that's more powerful than you. And again, I'm not talking about the average white person out there. I'm not talking about them. But when it comes to weaponry and ammunition, you don't have it. I was on the range one day, and there was this white dude out there, and he had all types of firearms just spread out on the table. They were all his, that he collected over years. And he had the ammunition, and we was talking about certain rounds that were hard to come by now. And I think at one time it was the 22s. You know, it was hard to get 22s, and a lot of people own 22s, man. So when there was a shortage of that, you could not find that anywhere. And the stores that did sell the 22, it's like they limited you to like maybe 2 boxes, right? Maybe 3 boxes. And the price of those had went up extremely high. So there's a lot of black people that may have had 22s, but they couldn't afford the rounds for them, right? So I started stockpiling them, And I remember the white dude told me on the range, he said, look, I have an ammo bunker, man. He said, anything you want, I'll get it for you. And I was completely dumbfounded at the number of white dudes that I ran into, older white guys, dudes that were my age and older. And I was surprised, and I'm like, man, I was sounding all dumb. They let you have all of that, man. That nobody's coming after you, right? He had a bunker, and he told me how big that bunker was, and I got like bricks of ammo from this dude, you know. And he said I've been stockpiling for years, and a lot of white dudes make their own rounds. There's a lot of white guys that make their own. They have the material, they have the machine to press their own rounds. They do it themselves. So you're going to go up against someone that have that type of firepower. See, and a lot of time that's just the average everyday Joe. That's not talking about the police force. It's not talking about the sheriffs. And we talk about the fire department. It's not even talking about them, because if your house start burning, who's going to put that fire out? And you don't know who's putting that fire out, but you kissing that person's behind, thanking them, telling them how great they are, and they could be a white supremacist. The same ones you claim that you hate, right? So many of y'all, you don't realize that you say that Esau is your enemy, but you're behind enemy lines. And he controls he gives you the power to do the things you do. Even when it comes to the Hebrew Israelites that's standing on the corners preaching. If Esau wanted to shut you down, they can shut you down. Regardless of how much you stand out there and says, I have a right to be here. I have a right. Nobody can tell me. If Esau wanted to shut you down, trust me, they will shut you down with the quickness, right? So I'm talking about Esau. He's a great hunter. He's also a great warrior. And 10 times out of 10, he makes the preparation that many of us don't make. When you talk about heat and utilities, a lot of times it's the real simple things, because I spoke on other videos about guerrilla warfare and how many people got the wrong ideal of what a race war is, because you watch maybe a lot of movies or you read books, and so you think that a race war is like the movie back, like in Warriors, back in the day where the gangs came together and they had like knives and guns and brass knuckles and chains, and you thought that everybody's just going to go at it. Or the Civil War, how the Civil War was fought. But we're living in different times, fighting a totally different war, where it's everybody going on with their everyday life. Things happen. People become so accustomed to certain things happening that it's not even reported on the news. The revolution won't be televised. I hear a lot of y'all say that. How the revolution will not be televised. So you're not thinking, because when it comes to like simple things like utilities, you can lose your heating in the wintertime. You can lose the power in your house, no lights. And you know black people don't stockpile batteries. You don't stockpile candles or flashlights. You don't do that, right? Now, the only time you may have some candles is when you want to do your little witchcraft that you try to do, right? So, but other than that, they shut your power down. You're stuck, right? So, heat and utilities, aircraft. You talk about Black Wall Street all the time. What happened to Black Wall Street? I'll leave you on that thought. They got foot soldiers, military, the reserves, So Esau is a great hunter. See, y'all forget about that. And last but not least, man, and I'm sure there's other ways that Esau can get you. He can get you when you go to deliver your child, right? And you trust in Esau, the ones you call your enemy, to bring your baby out. Because a lot of y'all don't have that talent or that knowledge or know-how to deliver a child, to be a midwife, right? But my last and final one is weather manipulation. You think because you're in the summertime, you're safe. But a lot of people online talk about HARP. You talk about that weather manipulating machine or that weather producing machine that control the weather. And there's a lot of people out there that have conspiracy theories about how they control the weather, how they create a lot of these storms, right? And we've seen what happened like down in Texas and Florida, like those places where there was flooding, right? Esau, there a lot of black people drowned. And you were crying out for Esau to help you. And Esau came with his chopper, and you seen all of these helpless dudes out there that call themselves men and kings and warriors and God. You had Esau pulling God up in a little man-made hammock, I'm going to call it, right? It's called something else, but they pulling you to safety because you were down there with your family drowning. You couldn't even save your own family from a flood. You look to Esau to do that. But now you cursing Esau, and you waging war against Esau, and you think that you have power and authority and don't realize really how weak you are. That's why many of y'all get behind a computer screen and talk. Because that's your only power, and you don't show yourself. You don't show your face. You don't have videos or a photo, or you may have a fake photo. But that's how much of a coward that many of y'all have proven yourself to be. And you don't even think about the fact of how great of a warrior Esau, that's his natural talent. And right now, many black Americans have no power because you gave up your power. You turned your back on your power when you gave up the Most High. Because if you look in biblical time, the Most High was the one that fought the battles of Israel. Oh, he had great warriors. Many of us were great warriors. But our power came from on high. See? So, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all of the ground is sinking sand. And right now, the so-called black community is sinking at the hands of other black people. So keep in mind, Esau is not weak. Just because Esau don't say nothing. See, Donald Trump, study Donald Trump. A lot of y'all calling him dumb and all kind of names, but if you watch him, he's being pretty smart. He's not telegraphing his moves. But y'all would get on Facebook Live and tell your enemies, I'm right down here at the store at the service center, and you sitting there twirling around and you showing where you at. Next thing you know, there's a drive-by shooting. Pop, 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 pop. You gone. Fool. But Donald Trump is like, hey, I don't telegraph nothing. So they trying to figure out what he talked about, he and Russia, Vladimir Putin. They don't know the mind of Trump, right? So, and that's what scares them. That's why they think he's so dangerous, because he's not telegraphing his move, and he's smart in doing that because everyone that wants that information have proven themselves to be his enemy. So why would you give your enemies information on what you're thinking or what your next move is going to be? See? So feedback, tell me what you think, subscribe, and check out protectionknives.com. And I have a YouTube channel, protectionknives.com. C-O-M. Until next time, I'm fearless.